any new business. Okay, that's fine. Why don't we get started?
Cool. Colin.
All set?
Yep.
Welcome to the meeting. Josh, I hate to do this, but next slide. So, roll call. I will take notes. There's only 3 of us here, plus Colette and Josh. There's only 2 right now, including me. I thought I'd review the action items quickly. Talk about the survey questions and rationale. I actually added survey communication and collection plan. Actually, I wanted to walk through the survey. So to revisit why we asked the questions that we asked, and then go into the communications and collection plan. And then we'll skip over next steps. It'll probably be a shorter meeting because I didn't want to rest on our laurels while the survey was out there. I had some ideas of what we should be doing next, while that's being collected. And we could talk about it today, but we won't make any assignments, I guess, and then just any open discussion at the next meeting. So let's go through the next one, Josh. I feel like, these were the notes from the last meeting, action items, and we got everything done on time or before the time. The board of director approval was, probably on the 15th, but, we had sent something over to Colette for approval. So we got official approval on the 15th. And then again, one of the action items was provide a summary example of work completed and ask for help as far as next steps. This is beyond the survey. So a lot of great work. And I think if you hit the button, Josh, I just want to thank the committee. And it really is something. I mean, people, I got a couple notes like from Helen, it's about time. It was actually 57 days from my first draft to getting it out the door.
Which with volunteers, to me, seems.
And relative to the last one that took them almost a year or so to really get it out. I mean, it might have seemed like long. It was maybe a number of drafts. And there's probably a mistake or 2 in there, but it's 98% correct. And there's probably something that we'll wish we asked, but overall it was actually 57 days. I just want to get that on the record. And yes, it does seem like it was 6 months, but it was less than 2 months. So thanks. And again, it was a lot of good input. I asked for people to respond within a week, and they're responding within a day or 2. And the last test that we did, I think everybody on the committee and many of those that are advisors and everything else responded. So we had everybody's eyeballs on the last version, so which has helped. So one of the things I used to talk about is go slow to go fast. And like I said, it's out there. It's not even formally announced with an Eblast, and we have almost 150 responses. So a good start, but long way to go. So next one, Josh. So I did want to, this is just an email, and again, you hit another button here from Larry saying he took the survey. It just took a few minutes, and just please pass along my appreciation, how easy it was, and congratulations to the team for a job well done. So I wanted to pass that along, and again, hit that button again, Josh. I shouldn't do the building slides. So Larry complimented all of us, and I would just like to say, my thanks to the board. I'm not sure if everybody's aware of it, but yes, we did pass one of the early drafts by the board. I don't know that we made any changes based on any feedback we got. Some asked questions, some, might have said, 1 or 2 things, but I really don't think we made any changes. So they let us do the questionnaire, and especially Colette. She was the one that supported us, saying, you guys are the experts. We're going to count on your expertise. I know she didn't want the location in there, but we kept it in there. And I'll explain why in a minute. So again, this is just, I used it because Larry asked me to share it with the team, and I agree, but it's been great. I mean, the board of directors could have stopped this. They could have, tried to eliminate questions. They could have added questions, and from anything that we've asked at both board meetings, one for SurveyMonkey and the process and the survey, and this one just asking for the process, how we're going to communicate and collect it. It's just been great support.
Yeah, and if I may speak, that support is because of who you all are, the expertise that you all bring, and the hard work. that you engaged. You were all fully engaged, and you have a lot of experience, and, you know, you're Bernie, obviously, with your expertise
For sure.
as a professor. You know, it was very easy to just
Yeah.
sit back and let you guys run with it.
Yeah.
So thank you for your hard work.
There is a little bit, I mean, I would just say to myself, by teaching marketing, I mean, I probably spent millions and millions of dollars in marketing research, but I never conducted it myself. But by teaching it, you know, by teaching something, you get a little bit better at it, and you understand what's good, what's bad, what's a loaded question, what's the order of the questions you should do. So there's a lot of different things, and I'm still not an expert. Like I said, there's probably something that we'll look back and say, I wish we would have asked that differently. I wish we would have added that, or why did we ask that question? But overall, I just, enough kudos. Let's move on to what we have to get done next. And hopefully we'll continue to, and actually the other thing with the survey, what I'll talk about is, you know, we do have plans to put it in the October newsletter. So it will get in the hands of, you know, ideally with a QR code, in the hands of everybody.
And that'll be on the cover, front and center.
Yeah, so, you know,
You can't miss it.
and we're doing it efficiently, you know, time-wise. So I do feel good that we're gonna get to everybody. Now, at some point, if we're missing younger, we wanna get all residents, you know, involved, but if there's something there, like the last survey, which had minimal younger families, we might do something in addition to try to drive more participation with younger
Honestly, I think it being on social media is going to grab some of them.
you're right, Jen.
They're, you know, when they finally do decompress, or, you know, we look at social media in between doing things.
Right.
So if you can just do it while you're there in 5 minutes,
Yeah.
it'll happen, I think, organically.
Okay, Josh, I'm gonna ask you probably on the next slide to go to surveymonkey.com. Or if, could you do that on here?
Yep.
I have all the hard copies in my car. I was gonna bring them in, but I just gonna distribute them after the meeting.
So I'm gonna go from the homepage and actually show off that little button there. Go there.
So could you go back like out into like actually, I'll use this. As Josh said, one of the things I was gonna show you is that we have almost 150 responses yet, which is a good start. I'm like a little kid, like watching the polls.
Right.
Like, hey, how many today? You know, every couple hours I'm checking it. And that, because I just couldn't believe it. I went on yesterday as we were interacting and I saw 87 responses. Like, how did they even know about it? You know, and then this morning I get up and I gotta check it and it was like 140 something. So yeah, it was pretty good to start out. So again, we have the intro. Just, we'll walk through the survey, Josh. I just want to, you know, talk about a few things, if you can do that. So the first question, again, we want property owners, primarily property owners, to answer this survey. What we're really interested in is making sure we get a mix of full-time and part-time residents. Now, we'll capture here in renters. We'll capture other people, but since this is a link that's out there and communicated broadly, you can get people that aren't property owners that fill it out.
Sure.
We'll be able to separate that data if we want to, or look at it, you know, separately. So that's why we have that in there. Because it is electronic, we needed to include something that allows us to separate that data for non-residents. So I just wanted to be clear on that. And so when you're explaining it, you know, to other people, your friends, you can explain it as well.
Rob's just joined us, by the way.
Hey, Rob,
Hey, can you guys hear me okay?
we can hear you good. We don't have a quorum, so we're not going to assign you anything. It's just Jenny, myself, you, and then Colette and Josh.
Good. Apologize for being late and not being there in person.
No, I appreciate the heads up. Anyway, since we don't have a quorum, we're not going to conduct a lot of new business, but do an update. So I'm just walking through the survey at this point, and just the rationale for each of the questions. And if you didn't hear, we have almost 150 responses already, and we really haven't done a lot to communicate
Wow.
yet. So
No
it's a good
kidding.
start.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Long way to go yet, but
Oh, yeah, but good start.
after day one, it's a good start. So first question, we can eliminate residents, non-residents. We can look at data for just those that own homes or live here part-time. There's a lot of different reasons, the way we could use that data, but we can definitely separate non-property owners from the survey. Second one, I put this in there and it probably wasn't as critical that we'll be able to look at those with waterfront lots, non-waterfront lots. But again, part of my thinking on this was some of the waterfront lots had higher HOA increases because of the bulkheads in the last couple of years. Is that a factor? This probably wasn't a critical question. One of the committee members asked me to add it, and I did, but it's there. We'll be able to look at the data if we want to. If not, it's not a big deal. Third question, Josh. This is the first sort of question asking how, level of satisfaction, so if you're a property owner, how satisfied are you? So we ask it this way and we'll be able to get a good it's like a customer service thing, how satisfied you are overall with Ocean Pines. Now, at the end, we ask that other question that we've talked about, Rob. It's like, on a scale of 0 to 100, how likely are you to recommend it? So it's another way to ask it. So we have two questions related overall customer satisfaction. I will tell you, out of the 150 residents, I didn't look at this question, but on the one, the numbers are pretty high.
In terms of satisfaction.
Yeah, satisfaction. So there's a lot of things out there on social media and things like that, but most people are really happy. Overall, at least so far, it's only 150 people. Next question, Josh. So this one, I'm not going to go through all this. So number one, we ask, how important are each of these things to you as an Ocean Pines property owner? From community appearance, down to safety, down to parks, opportunities for involvement, everything that we got out of the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats work, along with additional input from the committee. So we asked the question first, how important are all these things to you as a resident? I wanted to keep location in there for a variety of reasons. Yes, you can't do anything about the location, but I would say from a communication standpoint going forward, if location has a big difference between that score and maybe the second score, you might want to talk about the location more in any communications going forward, and just about Ocean Pines is the ideal location, and maybe play down some of the other things. But we know it's probably going to be up there as one or two. It'll be interesting to see if amenities are higher or and Jenny, you were the one that asked this. I want a question on there, ask why do people live here?
Yeah.
And that's why we kept location in there. Without that, you wouldn't have had that data point. So.
Well, and to me, it's interesting because some people may care only about the location and not about the amenities.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't really use many of the amenities, but the location is extremely convenient to me. I think the amenities give value to the property.
Yeah.
But I haven't been to a pool in a couple of years.
Yeah. So this question here is duplicated then in question 5. So we ask first how important each of these are. And again, online, these are varied. So it automatically varies the order of these questions. So it eliminates any bias as far as getting tired answering these questions. And number 5, Josh, if we go to that, asks, how's Ocean Pines doing? And I hope the heck I eliminated location on this, but overall, how do you think Ocean Pines is doing? So if you look at the one question that says, this is what's most important, and this is how we're doing, you could get I'll call it a gap analysis of, for example, safety is number 1, okay? Well, how's Ocean Pines doing on safety from the homeowner's perspective? And if it's a little bit below average, or maybe not quite that is, maybe there's more we should be doing investing in safety. That's just one example. And so it really does help you determine in asking those two questions, what's most important, how we doing? And that's why we ask those two questions. I'll call it a gap analysis of where we need to focus in the next 3 to 5 years. Josh, number 6. This is all about values. So one of the things we talked about in the planning is culture. And we came up with or Helen, actually did a lot of homework on this, and the team agreed to include different cultures. This is gonna be a big addition to Ocean Pines, but I think we have 4 or 5 on there, and we're asking them just to say, how important are these to you individually? And then we'll get a ranking on this. What's most, out of these 5, is there gaps between, maybe 1, 2, and 3 are really, really important. Number 4 and 5, maybe they're lower. Maybe we don't incorporate all 5 values. So this is a good one. It's pretty more straightforward. Maybe takes you a little bit longer to answer the question because you have to read it. But I think it's really going to help going forward that Ocean Pines, like several other communities we looked at, will have values. Berlin has values to sort of live by and operate by. Any questions so far? But that's, so, and then number 7. This is another one asking now on the negative side. So where we got weaknesses, and this is one I was a little bit uncomfortable putting this question together, but we included it to address what are the biggest issues, what are the biggest weaknesses. So we took the SWOTs where people thought there was a threat or a weakness. We tried to incorporate and some other things that show up, currently in different press releases and things like that. But anyway, so we, infrastructure. Nobody would disagree that we have some infrastructure issues. Okay, we're a 50-year-old community, and there's things that need to be replaced. But again, what we'll get here is how important each of these are from the resident standpoint, from the part-time residents versus the full-time residents. Some of them might not be perfect, but there is a lot of different questions on there. Some might cost money, some might not cost money. So we took the weaknesses, we took the issues that were developed, that were sort of thrown at the team, and the team came up with and included them in this question. So you get a little sense of, from a negative standpoint, what's most important. So, and to address. Josh, I'm sorry, next slide. Number 8 was a different way to ask some of the questions, and rate your level of agreement with the following statements. So things like Ocean Pines offers programs and activities that meet my needs. And this is just a different way of getting different things like traffic on Route 589 is a major concern. Just overall concerns that we can inform the board of these types of situations. I think there was one in there about value for the money and pricing. Anytime you ask a consumer or a homeowner in this case about pricing, like, do you feel the amenities or do you feel the homeowners association fee is reasonable? They're going to say no. They're going to be no. Just imagine taking a survey, hey, do you think the price of the BMW is reasonable? Nobody's going to say yes. Everybody's going to want a lower price. So you try to build in, but overall, when you take a step back, the value that you get, for the homeowner's fee, is it worth it? We've had a number of guests down this summer, and a lot of them pay homeowners fees. And then when we say ours is in the range of, $900 to $1,500, they're like, what? That's all? What does it include? Does it include all these amenities? I'm like, well, yeah, you can use a lot of the amenities, but if you're, a pool member or something, you have to pay that extra fee. And they said, that's ridiculous. We're paying $300, $400 a month. So pricing and is always a tough question to ask when you're doing marketing research, because nobody's ever going to say, no, you should charge more.
Well, and I think it's an opportunity, the way, because people often ask me that question in terms of buying property. And I think it's a plus that you can join a la carte and not pay $300 or $400 a month to use everything, because you don't, or some don't. So, I mean,
So this gets into a lot of different things that we came up with. It's almost a catch-all for a lot of different things that have come up during our planning process over the last couple of months. And, hopefully we'll get some good information on it. And again, like the traffic on 589, at least they'll have a stake in the ground about, yeah, people are really concerned about that. And as things come up, we should be kind of leveraging our size to make sure that the things are corrected. Josh, next one, please. 9. This was another one where, this one was the one I said we could have eliminated, but it really just deals with customer satisfaction. So if you use these amenities, what's the level of customer satisfaction? It's probably not strategic, but it does give you a sense for those that have used these facilities, how do they feel about them? I will tell you, just looking at the first set of data, and I don't know how many people it was, but like, for example, the racket facility.
They love
people that
it.
Use it.
Love
They
it.
love it.
Yeah.
Extremely satisfied. Golf members, extremely satisfied. And those are just two when I just browsed through out of 150 people, and it could have been 10 people that answered that question. I don't know. But they're very satisfied. But it'd just be interesting to see, like, level of satisfaction across the board. And some of these are going to be small numbers. Dog parks, you might only have 100 people, 50 people that answer it. So
Well, the other thing is you'll have an idea of who's using which amenities the most, or which amenities are used the most. I think what we found the last time was all the amenities are used, but not everyone uses all amenities.
yeah, Rob.
No, Jenny took the words right out of my mouth. That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, we'll get a feel
Yeah.
for which ones are used more so than the others.
And we were surprised because we really thought there were certain amenities that weren't really used that much. And it was like, what? How about it? Who knew?
Yeah, so we asked overall Ocean Pines customer satisfaction or overall satisfaction. This gets into the specific amenities. And it's not to say that there's any issues, but it'll be interesting to see if people think like our parks aren't as good as they should be or something. I don't know. But the numbers for each of these might be too low to really do much with. Josh, number 10, we're almost, this was a catch-all for a bunch of different ideas that came up with opportunities. You hear a lot in the press about bring the crab pier back, or, street lighting was an issue the last survey. Electric car charging station was something I think Becky thought we should add to be more, more forward thinking and get ahead of the curve. It just gets into a lot of different opportunities. And I will tell you right now, in just looking at the 150 so far, it's almost like a bell curve on all these. There's some that want these. There's, there's nothing that really stood out.
Yeah.
When I looked at the first set of data. We'll see we'll see it comes out at the end. Josh, I'm sorry. I think we're wrapping up here. 11, is, all things considered. I forget the name that I called this, Rob, but there is an official name for it. Oh, Net Promoter Score. Really just gives it's another way to ask customer satisfaction. Really, would you recommend Ocean Pines to a friend or colleague? And this will be a benchmark. If we do a survey every year, you ask this again, and did we improve or did we get, or did we go down? And if we went down, why? Or if we improved, what do we do to improve that? So I will tell you that the initial number I looked at was pretty positive out of the first responses. So we'll see what comes up. Number 12, then, I maybe could have worded this differently. It's like, what would you do to improve that score? But, it's the one open-ended question that people can put in comments. I mean, they have other areas that they can add their comments, but this is the one that's like, hey, if you had one recommendation, what would you recommend? So
You'll get good info there.
hard to tabulate, but we'll probably do whatever they call those ward graphs on this to get a sense of what were the most important things that came out of it. This is the only question that's not required to answer to
complete.
And we did add that. That was a good add. I think Helen said that we did it up in the instructions like, hey, all answers had to be completed. I think somebody said that, they had some issues with not completing a question and then going back. So this one gives them opportunity to make any recommendations. And then the other ones, those okay buttons, it's like, you don't even have to press them. But anyway, it opens up the next question. I changed this question based on SurveyMonkey input, and I did have a consultation with somebody from SurveyMonkey. They walked through the entire survey with me. We went through. I wanted to make sure. My biggest concern was being able to tabulate data by different questions. Any question on this survey, like I can look at just data of people that answered grandchild on here, if I wanted to. So almost any question, any answer, you can separate, you could do a filter and just, okay, I want to know, everybody that answered, everybody said they had a grandchild. What did they say? Not that we would do that, but that's how but there was a couple things I wanted to ask. And in the process, I used to say, like, how many people are at these age groups in your family? And it was a long question. All we want to know is whether there's people with, primarily want to be able to separate people that have children living with them or families with children and non-families, and just see if there's difference there. But this captures everything,
How long after the survey is complete do you have access to SurveyMonkey to be able to manipulate that data?
I could do it now if you wanted.
No. I
yeah.
mean, when it's all wrapped up.
We have a year.
A year.
I mean, we have a year contract, so
Okay.
we'll have that done.
So if you extended it, you
Yeah,
could still,
Yeah,
after a year, I'm guessing it,
yeah.
but.
Yeah, I did it.
I get it.
I do it for my classes and I only pay on a monthly basis. And then once I stop paying, it's gone.
Well, that's what I was
Forever.
thinking, because as things come up and you go through various exercises, you may want to pull it differently, looking at something separate. So
Yeah.
a year, that's a
Yeah.
fair amount of time.
And again, theoretically, you sort of download the stuff, put it in a presentation. Like there was some of the stuff on the old survey that I wish I would have been able to look at and cut and paste.
Can you export the data into Excel?
I'm sure you can. Yeah.
Well, that would be a long-term way to
Yes, right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, yeah,
sort.
there's graphs they give you and then they give you the hard numbers. And so there's a lot of different pauses about it. I was pretty excited looking, and I only looked at it quickly. So anyway, this allows us to sort of separate people living by themselves or not, and just be able to cut the data if we want to choose it. There was some questions that came up maybe in the press or on social media about the gender question on number 14. In reality, sometimes there is gender bias, and if 100% of females answered this question, you'd be like, Ocean Pines isn't 100% females. Are we getting enough representation for males? So we included in there, we were going back and forth whether to include it, but you could have some gender bias, which is why we included this. I will tell you right now, it's probably 50-50 or it's close.
It seems to me that was last year or last time.
Yeah.
Curious, Bernie, and I know we only got 100 or so responses, but are people answering it or are they checking box 4?
I would say in the quick look at it, it was answering it. I was just, I looked at the graphs and it was like 55 to 45 and it was male, female.
Does could two people in the same household complete the survey separately?
They could.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought the ISP
Well,
limit.
the IP address, I guess, would limit, if it's the same
But if
IP address.
you used your phone that wasn't on your
Oh,
Wi-Fi, then
yeah.
you could.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
There's ways to potentially abuse it, but I think there's enough in there. Again, it's not an election. I think we talked about this, that there is a way to abuse this, but you'd have to run to Starbucks and take the survey, go to McDonald's, take the survey, go to another location.
And not only that, what would really be the harm if two people live in a household for them both to fill it out, is how I feel about it anyway. But because you would be getting different perspectives.
When I did the practice one, I sat with my husband and we, I asked him, this is what I think the answer should be. What do you think? And
Well, that was really nice of you.
Yeah, well.
Not have that option.
because I looked at it as,
Never would occur to me.
this was a joint decision to live
Yeah.
here, to invest in this. And so sometimes I compromised or he compromised.
Yeah.
So the answer kind of got, closer to the middle maybe in some cases.
Yeah. So there is this chance of error, but I have to tell you that in hard copies have a lot more chance of error. Anybody could fill it out. You can't control
Right.
it. You could make 50 copies
Right.
and do it. And I hope we get those people that don't go online to fill out the hard copies, but and then the recording of the answers, there's a whole bunch of errors that could happen in hard copies that don't happen when you're online.
So with the hard copies, is someone actually going to have to sit down and?
Yeah. We have survey boxes, and we printed 400 copies. 100 for 3 locations.
Wow.
100 to respond. The team agreed that, somebody calls and wants one, we'll send it out.
I think I would have put 10 in each box.
I think we're
That was
going
really
to,
optimistic.
I think we're gonna put, we want people that don't go online.
Right, no, I totally understand. I think that's
I hope,
great.
yeah, we'll see. I mean, we might put out 20 at a time and see if they take them and then put, more out. And then the last question was just your age. I will tell you right now, we are getting some younger families that are answering. So this is another bell-shaped curve so far, which is good. And again, I don't really mean to talk about the results. It just, I just went through it quickly. I clicked on a different button not to review the survey. Mine went to the results, but we don't need to go there. And that's it. So I wanted to just let you know, in case you're talking to friends or family, that you can properly communicate why we asked this question or didn't ask this question, and the fact that we want all residents to participate, and that we'll be able to look at the data in total, which is the most important. And the reason we did 1,000, because it has a plus or minus 2.8% error when you get to 1,000. When you go beyond that, it drops, but not significantly. So we're off to a good start, but we have a long way to go.
And are you using those little business cards too?
Speaking of the business cards, they didn't get printed as quickly, but yeah, we're in the process of printing them.
Oh, okay.
Jenny, who doesn't use QR codes, it's gonna look like that.
Yeah.
Basically have a QR code, and we are putting them in
Nice.
a bunch of locations. So they will probably be available next week, and we'll get them out there.
And then will you be making them available to us to distribute to people who,
That's a great idea. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah. Distribute.
And we could, I could make sure
copy.
the board gets a copy, each of
Yeah.
the board members, to hand them out to
Yeah.
people. I think, you do run across people that you just know don't go online.
Yeah.
And you can teach them how to use the QR code, which
Yeah.
I just learned recently how to do that.
They changed the phones too. That you just have to put your camera on it.
Yeah,
that's
Yeah,
it.
a
Yeah,
separate reader.
it's nice.
So,
It's true, that's true.
yeah. The next one, Josh, we're just gonna talk about the Eblast. The Eblast is ready to go. How many people does it go out to, Josh?
8,000 plus.
So we thought we'd send the Eblast out during the meeting because you've all participated in it. So hopefully this will, get to a lot of people, mostly residents and part-time residents. And we'll see that bump in participation. We'll keep that thing going. So it's all set to go. They could use the QR code, or you have the link in there too, right? For direct to the survey, or
There's
just
the link there, and then up here, nice and big.
Yeah.
Great.
Here to take the survey.
And what was distributed and when was it launched? What was the
Press
date?
release went out yesterday.
Okay, it was just
Website and
yesterday.
Facebook.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's what I said. We haven't really done a lot to say it's available, other
Kind
than
of a
putting it on the
soft opening.
sites and,
Uh-huh.
this is
Yeah.
the first. And we wanted to get the press release out so it hits the papers
Right.
today
Right.
and that type of thing.
Oh, the Bayside Gazette headline, by the way, said that the survey comes out on Monday.
That's okay.
And then page 4, it says it's out now, so.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, thanks,
And
Rob.
hopefully that was okay. I promised to the board
Well.
by the 27th or the week, and I'd rather beat it than be late.
Yeah.
We could have waited a week or so, but why not get it started?
Should we send
No,
this
this is
online?
such a positive
Yeah. Yep.
Hit the button. Yeah.
right now. Should we have a drum roll?
It does take a couple minutes to actually hit boxes, Josh, because when you sent me
Yeah.
the thing.
8,286.
Yeah.
There we go.
Fantastic.
There's one.
So now,
I feel like we should have a toast or something.
I
It
know,
really, yeah. I'd rather, it's, like I said, I'm addicted to it. I'm like going on 2 or 3 times a day, just counting that. I'll be
that way
going on the
too.
rest of the day now, just seeing how many people come. And we'll give you updates. Right now, I think Josh and I are the only ones that have access to it because they do eliminate number of seats, I guess, but, Colette, maybe we give you access or something. There is this issue that if we end up getting 200 hard copies, I don't want to necessarily put it all in myself.
Right.
We're going to
Yes.
ask for help,
Sure.
and try to increase it. And then Josh, certainly.
So does SurveyMonkey give you the capacity to do that?
Yes.
Otherwise, we're going to have the IP address problem. Okay.
Yeah.
Check, that was another question.
Yeah.
And I wanted, that was another question I asked of them.
Yeah, I would like, I'm a data geek, so I
Okay.
like,
We'll get that right away. Collect access.
Wow.
Stop around 11.
You guys getting rain
Okay.
down there?
No, it's,
We're going to though.
Okay, yeah, I'm in Bel Air and it's just been a deluge for the last hour. And I just looked out the back window, we had a flood going across the golf course up here, Colette.
wow.
Yeah.
it
Anyway,
doesn't
sorry.
seem, it
Noon.
almost doesn't seem like we're gonna get it based on the weather right now, but it's really windy,
Noon.
but they say it's coming.
It's
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah.
Survey, we'll go through the next, we're gonna keep it pretty light today, but let's go through the survey communication collection plan without getting into a lot of assignments or things like that. So next slide, Josh. This was the executive summary. I'll let you read it that we provided to the board. The cost was only about $650 and a maximum of 21 hours of staff time. The 21 hours of staff time, 10 or 11 of that was if we get 100 requests by phone or mail, the 5 minutes per person to put in an envelope and send it out. So it really is, it's mostly Josh's time. And I would say probably half of that is done already, right? With creating the PR release, getting the links up and all the
Business
stress that you
cards.
faced the last day.
It just hit my mailbox on my phone.
Oh, good. So we'll go through this pretty quickly, Josh.
I'll see it.
Just to reemphasize, next slide, that we do want all property owners to complete it. We want at least 500 part-time residents and 500 full-time residents. With that, we'll have a degree of error of plus or minus 3%, 3.1. If we get up to 2,000, it'll be 2.2. But the point there is it's only a 1% difference. It's not that significant. And compliments to the last survey that was done. They got 1,800 completed surveys. But it was all hard copy. And like I said, the mailing cost must have been, and
And it was a painful survey.
it was,
It was a lot of paper.
and just to tabulate that.
No, trust me, it was hard to extrapolate valuable information from.
Yeah, although your committee did a terrific job of that.
It was,
I have to say.
it was a lot though.
And I'll tell you, Josette was a
She was
marvel.
really good, and when that question where you have the opportunity to answer, what is the one thing?
Yeah.
When we had that other survey, there were so many comments and she would take the comments, put it into, I don't know whether
Excel.
she used Excel or Word, but she would search on keywords. So
Yeah.
streetlights, board of
Yeah.
directors.
Right.
And we would be able to,
Kind of
it was
identify
cumbersome.
themes.
Yes, and that's
But
how
she
we.
streamlined it. Well,
She
maybe it
really
was
did.
Word
She really did.
search, yeah.
I think it was Word.
Yeah.
I don't think it was Excel. I
And
think
she
it was
may
Word.
have exported it to
Was she,
Excel.
was she on the committee?
Yes.
Yeah, she's still on
I
it.
just can't
She's on
imagine,
communications.
Yeah,
I
communication.
can't
made
imagine
this
the
cup.
tabulation of that, just because it was hard copy and having to get it into something and the hours it took to do that. But next slide, Josh. So we want, that's why we did the 1,000 or 500 of each. The only thing, this was part of it, but the thing that I bolded it here is reach out to key club contacts, and I was going to ask us to do that. And since we don't have a quorum today, we're not going to get into that today, and that's okay. I think maybe after our next meeting, we'll reach out to, so, we'll be tracking results, and that's when we might reach out to key club contacts. Could you, hey, please ask your members to participate? So not a big deal. I am going to send a note to the executive council committee chairs with a link on it, ask and make sure that their committee people complete the survey. So I will do that next week. But we could do this at any time. We might want to, there's some other things, Josh. There might be a little bit twist on a story in 2 weeks or something like, hey, we really need, whatever it might be.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna go ahead and put some ads together too.
Yeah.
And can it be distributed to the staff so that when they're talking with people, they can mention it?
Sure, I can run that through John.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a question, not a direction.
Yeah, and John deserves some credit here for letting us.
Yes,
help.
absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah, I guess I included him with board of directors, but he's been, and I talked to
He's been
him,
very supportive of this.
he does a great job, and I talked to him once or twice just in the hallway, and it's like, absolutely, I completely get what you're getting, we need it. Anything you need, just let me know. So he's been awesome.
So isn't there a link on the website someplace to clubs?
Yeah,
There is.
I think we have the club chair
Yes.
emails. Yeah.
I don't think
No,
we have
it's just
emails.
Phone
It's,
numbers.
Phone
is it phone numbers or physical addresses? I feel like.
Yeah, and I can't find it. I don't know. if it
Okay, I
just
was gonna
doesn't
say,
show
because
up.
I remember doing something at some point and it was physical addresses and I was just like, nope, not doing it.
So you'll see in here, I was gonna suggest that,
Although sending a business card to the physical address,
it's phone numbers and addresses,
yeah,
but
Is
not
it?
emails.
Okay.
yeah, I did, because I have it in here. And my suggestion was gonna
Oh,
be
here it is. I found it.
divide up the clubs, decide which clubs to contact because some are and then call them and then offer to send a link or something that they.
Well, and some
you
of
know
us
what
belong
might
to
not
those
be a
clubs.
bad idea if we're gonna do that? If there's a phone number for someone in the club, call them, get their email address, and let's get an email list for clubs.
Great
Because
idea.
it is a very good way to reach out to some folks who may not be on their computers.
Do you think that would be something to put on the agenda for communications?
Communications, absolutely. How am I gonna remember to do that?
I'll bring our notes.
Well, now here, as much as I like
can email.
technology,
You want me to email Cheryl right now and we can ask her
sure.
to put it on the agenda?
I was gonna put it on my paper calendar for our next meeting. How about that?
Good.
Okay.
And it'll be in the notes of this meeting, just that it was come up as an idea.
So I'll leave it to you.
So Josh, so this is tedious. We'll probably only have 4 or 5 more slides. So this was just a detailed plan of from A to Z what has to be done. The cards are being printed as we speak. They got slammed. It was taking a couple extra days. So we changed the press release to say that they will be out in the future. We know where they're going to go. I said that Mo and I will distribute these cards. But you have to send a communication to like an internal communication, like, hey, by the way, we're doing this survey and Bernie and somebody's gonna drop off cards.
I've already done that.
Okay, great. That was my only check on this. So we'll be doing this next week and I have it as reminder cards are at the printer. Yeah, click the next one. Just hit it again. Oh. That's okay. My point was, I have one here that says reminder business cards at the printer will be printed next week. Mo and I will drop off at the key locations, which was sports court, pool, admin, building, and a bunch of things else. And the suggestion is to have some for all.
The
of
pro
us.
shop,
And the pro shop, the beach club. And,
Club's closed.
beach club's closed
oh, that's right.
for the season.
So we have some extra to give out to friends and family. But we'll make sure we do that. I have that in my notes.
For the library, maybe?
Library for sure is included.
Oh, you did?
I didn't,
Okay.
I didn't include like the original distribution list, but yeah, we had library, we had a number of locations.
I've got that if you want.
You did say community center, right?
Yes, yeah,
You had 200 sports court pool, 500 yacht club, 500 golf course, 200 library, 500 admin, and 500 community center.
okay, yeah. I mean, it's just another way, and then we printed extra.
I wonder if Public Works, do people drop in on Public
Yes.
Works?
Yeah, CPI is one of the drop-offs.
Yeah, CPI
Is
is in
it?
there too,
Okay,
yeah.
excellent.
At the park, at the,
We're doing hard
have that.
copies as well there,
really?
which
Yeah,
is important to get everybody involved, but it could also sway the results a little bit. I mean, if they're not using amenities or whatever, but we want everybody to be able to answer this. Where we at, Josh? So collect surveys from boxes weekly and start to enter results into software. We don't have to deal with this today, but I might look for another volunteer or two that is willing to input the data, depending on how many we get back. I will go out weekly on a Friday and just see how many are in there and collect them and centralize them. But at some point, we have to put that into the software. So since we don't have a quorum, we're not going to assign any of that. But if anybody has any interest in that, that's, can let me know. Because there's several different volunteer opportunities that are going to come up.
Yeah, I mean,
One is-
I'll help out with that, so just let me, I'm around.
Oh, that's right. You're an IT guy.
Well, yeah.
No, I appreciate that. Because there's other things like, so the way we talk about here, communication plan to staff, so that's covered. Dropping off the surveys will be done this afternoon. I have the surveys, the collection boxes. There was a slight delay, but they said they'd be ready by noon. So I'm gonna do that. And then when they come in, we'll continue to collect them weekly. And then at some point, they have to be imported. So we have to get you access. So let me just make a note. Rob is willing to help.
So I'm assuming, and let me ask a dumb question here, but I'm assuming the inputting would be just taking the hard copy and then going in and fill out a copy of the survey electronically.
Absolutely. There's a button on there that allows you to do that, and we could get you, hopefully we get you access, and
All
I'll
right.
use my access or something to do it. But hopefully we don't get thousands, but we'll be able to tell how many are coming in.
All right.
Let's go on. We're so again, utilize the content. We got this, that's in the thing, print extra 100 in surveys to go here. I guess my question, Josh, was who is the key contact? We're gonna print envelopes, which I think they said would be ready today or tomorrow. Who's the key contact here? Like who would get that call, or who do we have to make sure they know that?
Probably Julie and Linda at the info.
Okay.
Yeah.
But when I drop off the surveys today, who do I talk to? Just
Yeah, we'll talk at the front desk. And then
maybe we'll grab them right after this meeting.
Linda Martin at CPI.
Okay. Okay. That was the one question I had on there. So too much detail here. We're not going to get into this, but these are different volunteer opportunities. One is to drop off the surveys and collection and at the two locations. I'm going to do that today. I thought originally I was going to head up to Pennsylvania right after this meeting, but our plans changed. We're going up tomorrow. Same thing with the dropping off at the admin building. We'll do that right now, Josh. I'll bring the box back at 12. I don't have a problem, it's only 3 locations to pick up the surveys. Contact executive council, I'll do that, but help with inputting hard copy, Rob is gonna help on that. And then the Key Ocean Pines Club leaders, we might divide that up at the next meeting. We won't get into that today.
Well, I will take that to communications and see if they wouldn't mind getting an email distribution list, because we have been talking about this for years, so let's just get that done.
The other thing, I was going through, and you look at the next slide on this.
So Bernie, you should probably email me about contacting the executive council, because that would be Larry's role.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks. No problem at all. It was basically following up with them saying, hey, you guys are involved with this. Please distribute this to your members.
Right.
The other thing I would say is a lot of them had very specific ideas for their own area. I would say like rack and facility. They wanted to install a shower. I wasn't going to put that in the survey. That's something that they should bring to the board or whatever as an opportunity, but it wasn't kind of broad enough to conclude. There's other things I did include on it, but it was very helpful. I started going through key clubs, and there's probably 20 or 30 or 40 on them. And if you had the emails, you'd have a good sense of how many are in each one, even if it's or that they could easily do out. But we're not going to get into this today. But maybe we divide it up where so-and-so calls these 3 club members or emails them, and so-and-so does these 3. I was trying to eliminate the ones that were, or only include ones that were very specific to Ocean Pines.
And I can reach out to the Chamber of Commerce too and ask them to put that in their next Eblast as well.
That was a question. Do we want that? I mean, I don't have a point of view either way, but do we want them to do that?
Not sure.
It'd be primarily business owners.
It would be business owners and
Yeah, but it's not, and I know Kerry Bunting personally, we're in she's the president of the chamber, we're in a networking group together. It's business owners who do business in Ocean Pines. They're not
Yes.
necessarily residents, so you might
Yeah,
have
that's
some
fair.
audience there that would not be.
So let's not do it now. I mean, yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
That's what I was,
That's why I have the question there, or I did.
I mean, then there certainly are, like myself, I'm a member
Yeah.
of the chamber and I am a
Yeah.
business person and a homeowner, but it's not the rule. How about that?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're not going to get into this today. Next up, and go to the next slide. I just wanted to hit the button, Josh. We would not be where we are today without Josh. There was Josh sort of is my other half. I'm not as detail oriented. I don't have necessarily great grammar. But
6-month review is coming up. So
Yes.
keep-
I think he deserves a big rate. No, I mean, it was just before you even saw any drafts of the surveys, Josh and I probably went back and forth 2 or 3 times just to get most of the things. And there would be things that I have bad eyes that he would see an extra space or an extra period that I wouldn't see that he would catch. So there was a lot he did. I mean, he sets up these meetings, he drives the meetings, but there's a lot of work that he did over the past month or two that we would not have gotten that survey out if it wasn't for him. So I really appreciate it and I really enjoy working with him. Okay, enough accolades today. Let's go on to what we have to do next. I'm going to go through this really quickly because we can't conduct business today, but I'll give you a peek of where I think we should go next. Next slide. So we talked about this before. This is an old slide. I just put this date on it. In business, we typically analyze the 5 or 6 C's, and you can just hit the button there. So consumer, category, competition. I just want to give you an insight of where we want to go kind of outside the survey. Is that not building? Or yeah. So keep going. So number 1, the consumer is our homeowners. And that's going to, that's going to be most important section. So when we get this homeowner survey, that's going to be one key section of the plan. Category and competition. There's probably some good data in that, in the benchmarking we did that we want to bring out. A dumb example might be when we looked at that, 2 or 3 locations had beach shuttles, okay? Now, we included that in the survey. Nobody might be interested in it, but it was like one of the key things that was different than, that we might want to consider. And it's really just going through and saying, what are these other, what is a category, what do other homeowners do? What were our key takeaways? And the headline might be, we analyzed 11 homeowners associations. Here's what we found. Is that us?
Yeah, that was me, sorry.
No problem. And then competition is the same thing, the ones that are close to us we might look at. And then company, I thought I would take that on, possibly with an assist from Julia, Steve, and Josh, and anybody else that wants to help. We're not going to make assignments today, but we'll look at Ocean Pines. Headline is probably best financial position we've ever been in. Okay. Number 2, there might be, basically, and have the facts to show that. So we want to include that, and what the implication is, I don't know at this point, but we have to look at it. Culture will be covered by our survey. We include the question on values. So I thought while we're waiting for the survey to come in, which will drive that homeowners number 1 consumer, we could start working on competition and company, or I'll call it the Ocean Pines. Looking at what we did and going back to that data and looking at it. So I was going to ask for some volunteers to work with Mo and that, who put the spreadsheet together. We won't do that today. And then I'll show you what that might look like. I have some student examples coming up. Again, it's a 1-slide summary of the data. So when we take it to the board, it's like, here's what we found out. Here's our key takeaways when we looked at other communities. Here's what we looked at, here's our closest competition, might be River Run and Glen Riddle. And here's what, here's what's unique about Ocean Pines compared to them. and things like that. And then same thing with Ocean Pines, there might be a summer there, which I'll handle. So I'm going to give you an example what that would look like. Next one. So this is my template that I gave to the students when they fill this out. So you have the category, in our case, it's homeowners association. You have a bunch of facts on there. But overall, you get all those facts and say, what does this all mean? What's the key takeaway? Let me show you a specific example. They did it on Nike, I think, was one of the examples. Next slide, Josh. Or was Netflix. So here's an example that the students did. They included a bunch of graphs, bunch of examples, pictures. It isn't necessarily the best from a formatting standpoint, but when they look at the streaming category, has grown by over 14 billion in the last 8 years. That was the key takeaway. It's like, wow, it's big and it's growing. And then they talk about where Netflix stands in it. So that's an example of a key takeaway when they looked at the streaming category with regard to Netflix. The next one I think is competition, maybe, Josh. Again, very similar. They have some data on what the competition is, but yet where Netflix does. So Netflix is still the largest streaming service. So it's an example of, I try to teach my students rather than just putting facts on a page, what does it all mean? And that's what we're looking for, a page on the homeowners association, a page on competition, a page on Ocean Pines, and trying to get the most relevant data down. So we'll get into this next meeting and we'll ask for some volunteers to work on this. And then I think that's it. Next, last slide. And really, I think this is important because when we're done that and done the homeowners, we say we've been up here on the assessment, but by doing all those, getting the homeowners in and completing those other 3 sections, we'll be at like, what does this all mean? What are the conclusions and implications? So it really gets us down close to starting to say, these are the recommended goals. So it's like, again, pretty quickly, we move from, man, we've been stuck up here on this analysis down to what does all this work mean and what are the implications for Ocean Pines? So I thought I'd show this in there that once we complete that, we'll be in pretty good shape. And with the survey deadline of November 15th, we still have time to work on those other things. So, and then I think the very last slide is just any open discussion. Next meeting, again, I just want to get on calendars, October 28th. I think that's, is that, yeah, I think that's fourth Friday or fourth Thursday at 9 to 10.
Yeah.
Just mark your calendars. I will be in Germany again. I should be able to be here via the Microsoft Teams, unless I'm out at a festival or something. We'll see. It'll be 3 o'clock their time. My daughter lives in Germany, and we're going over there to visit them for about 3.5 weeks again. So, and that's it. So, questions, comments, again, it's a good feeling to get that out the door. It's a good feeling that, we're off to a good start, but my weakness is I tend to be optimistic, but how many do we have after the Eblast? No.
Well, we had 147 when we started the meeting. We have 201.
Wow,
That's crazy.
that's incredible.
We picked up
That is
50
incredible.
in the 10 minutes the E-Blast is coming.
That is amazing.
Yeah,
Pretty good.
That's awesome, though.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
great. Great
it
work.
is.
Great work.
A lot of good buzz.
Like I said, it's probably gonna be something, there might be a minor issue or stuff, that some of the stuff you see on social media, I wouldn't overreact to it, the numbers will speak for themselves that we have 200 already, and again, I wanted you to know the background of those questions so that you can answer it accordingly. So, anything else? You good, Rob?
I'm good. Great job. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks to everybody. It was a great team effort. I appreciate everybody's help.
All right.
Have a great day.
All right.
Thanks for joining
You
us,
guys
buddy.
as well. We'll see you soon.
Okay.
See ya.